Now, a lot of people ask me, Trevor, why are you so passionate? Some people even say obsessed by the African continent. And probably the obvious reason to that is, yes, I'm from there, I'm Kenyan, I'm African, and I'm proud from where I come from. And I do acknowledge that the world is becoming more and more globalized. There's no single country, no single region, no single continent that can claim to be self-independent, that can claim to be self-sufficient. We're all interconnected. But I think there's some few things that make Africa a little special. And I'm not just saying that because I'm African or I'm Kenyan. I'm saying that from genuine observation and some of the few things I've seen, growing up here all my life, And first things first, geographically. Let's look at it geographically, Africa is the second largest continent. You could fit China, the United States, India, and most parts of Europe, and you still not make up the whole landmass. Africa's a landmass. You'd still not make it up. So it's large, 60% of the world's remaining arable land. It's still in Africa, so it's just amazing the diversity and the immensity of Africa as a continent is amazing. Obviously, the people, 1 billion people across Africa, the population, and it's projected by a lot of scientists and a lot of experts to even double by 2050 or by the end of the century. But there's one thing I think that makes Africa extremely different from other continents, and I think that's the diversity. Now let me put a case in point. In West Africa alone, we have 1,500 languages. And when I talk about languages, I'm talking about independent languages. I'm not talking about, dialects that are related. Just the way French and Spanish are kind of similar, but they're not the same thing. We have 1,500 independent languages in West Africa alone. That's one region. And that makes up close to 30% of all the world's languages, because there are 4,000 languages. Over 4,000 languages spoken in the world or that are recognized. So the immense diversity that in Africa is just amazing, and for me to explore. And when people tell me you've lived in Africa all your life, you probably know all about Africa. No, I tell them, it will take a lifetime and even more to learn, to explore all the elements, all the perspectives, all the angles on the African continent. And one thing I love about Africa right now is also the rhetoric behind Africa is indeed changing. Africa has been, for too long, for the past few 3-4 decades, has been projected or exposed as a continent of poverty, of strife, disease, and indeed some elements of these social ills or these struggles or challenges of Africa are reality. But the rhetoric is changing, and it is indeed changing. Economies are growing, people are getting more educated, governance is getting better, and that's one thing that makes me really excited as an African, as a Kenyan, and I'm really excited about that. So through African perspectives, through this show, I'm trying to do two things. I'm trying to explore this diversity that exists on the African continent that will take a whole lifetime, and we need so many storytellers to tell some of the stories that are in Africa, on the continent, and really showcase this diversity through the different regions. And secondly, dispel some of the negative images that have plagued Africa over the years. And I'm so happy that rhetoric is changing, and I want to be part of that. I want to be part of this change, this movement that is really taking place on the continent. So join me as I explore, as I discover new elements, new views, new perspectives on the African continent. This is African Perspectives. I am Cherokee Black.